Today, we're going to talk about dismantling old beliefs. This is something that I don't want you to breeze over. To be quite honest, it's something that so many people don't stop and recognize where their beliefs even come from. So we keep telling ourselves the story over and over again. You got to think from the time you were a young child to now, you've been telling yourself a story, a narrative for a very long time. And that is shaped by a number of things. One of them being the environment you grew up in, your life situation. So if you grew up in for myself, I didn't grow up in a healthy environment, so I was sexually abused. That shaped me already before anything else happened. My external beliefs, the environment around me and my life situations got into my head, which contributed to my story. So I kept telling myself over and over again I wasn't worthwhile. I needed to source out other external things to change my internal dialogue. That's not easy to do when you're a child, so it's not something I recognized until I was older. So these are the type of things that we have to pay attention to depending on our upbringing, our life, and our circumstances. And that is kind of on a global, massive scale. You have to think of however old you are now, that's years and years and years of beliefs that have been built up into an old story that we're going to have to work on getting to the core of to change. Then we have your physical reactions. So, what's happening on a day to day basis that are kind of triggering you? So, for me, years ago, was a lot of stomach pain, illness, fatigue, joint pain, constantly being hungry, feeling irritable and moody and different things, which contributes to mood, which is the next thing, because those are kind of triggers that something's not right, something's out of balance. So what's going on in our minds that's tell and in conjunction with our bodies, that's kind of a signal that something's not right, because these things actually, if we go further and further, go back to our story and our core beliefs about ourselves. So when we can get to the root of the issue, then it starts to help us unveil what's really going on, why we're having kind of these beliefs in the first place, where they're coming from, so that we can actually start to change the story and then find out what we can do to help solve the actual root of the issue and the root of the problem. Because sometimes we don't even know we're still in an abusive environment. We could be being psychologically abused or controlled by people around us, and we don't even know. That was for me a reality. I had no idea how many people had control over me because my self-worth was so low. So behaviors is another thing. Behaviors that you need to kind of look at and recognize and be honest with. So, is procrastination an issue for you? Or, do you get easily distracted, and instead of doing the work you're going to do, maybe you say, "Oh, I'm not feeling great," and then you start getting distracted in baking. For me, that was a big thing. So I would always kind of mask what I was supposed to do, and then I would start baking, and that for me led to binge eating, which was negative, which was a negative pattern. For some other people, that could be a positive hobby or a positive thing that they can create, and then maybe they make a business and sell their cookies. But for me, that was a negative thing. So it's getting back to kind of, okay, what are the behaviors and how is that contributing to my old beliefs about myself and my story, and how does that relate to my self-worth? Then you have your thoughts, because that's where we're trying to get deeper into your thoughts and what's framing your thoughts and where that comes from. So saying, well, I'm not good enough, or I'm unattractive, or I'm lazy, or I'm hopeless, or I'm trapped, those are thoughts that you have been thinking kind of on the surface level. But if we go deeper, we're getting into the subconscious level, and that's where your old beliefs actually lie and where they are. So a big part of this training and this course and crushing your core beliefs is getting more in touch with the you that's really in the mirror. A lot of people can't stop and look at themselves, and they actually can't be honest with themselves, and that's why they don't get better. They would rather blame the world constantly instead of actually saying, what can I do? Life isn't happening to me, it's happening for me. No matter what those struggles are, no matter how hard things have been, what can I learn from these lessons to make myself better? Because the reality is, this is the only life we have. This is the only body we're in. This is the only skin that we have, and we only have the present moment. So if we can go deeper into who we really are, we can start to tear away at each layer like an onion, and start to get our energy back and find our self-worth. So it's all connected to each other. That's extremely important. And really identifying and getting in touch with those. That's where my value needed to come from. I felt like I needed to prove to the world, hey, I'm good enough. Then I realized none of that mattered. Nobody cared. At the end of the day, nobody cared. The only person that I was really battling was myself. So for me, I realized in my life the most important thing is I didn't have a great upbringing. So for me, like, I didn't have the perfect. I had every circumstance you could possibly imagine stacked up against me, and I'm not gonna get emotional, so just give me a second. For me, the most important thing and the number one thing in life is genuinely helping people find their worth. That is the most important thing.